Welcome to Simmons Says, where I help emerging and struggling writers create intriguing plots and compelling characters to make their stories hard to put down and even harder to forget.
Sometimes we have to ask tough questions like how vulnerable do you want to be as a writer or as an actor? How much do you want to expose of your life to the general public? And I'm going to share a quick story to maybe give you some sense of what that feels like or how at least I dealt with it. I was a young writer some years ago because everybody starts young at some point, and I had an opportunity to sell a series concept to a publishing house. I mean, this was pretty exciting. It was my own characters, my own concept, and they were excited. And it was a multi-book deal, and contracts were signed and everything. And again, at the beginning of my career, I'd written a few things before, but this was it. This was a big move here. I was also a young father at that time too, and had family responsibilities and also freelancing. So I got started, and it took off really well initially, but life happens and things happen. And there were things I was not used to dealing with, or I hadn't given myself enough time or even a plan to adjust to, and all of that. And to put it mildly, at a certain point in writing the first book, I began to freeze. I began to struggle hours and hours and barely a word or two on a page. It was devastating. There were other pressures that were coming in. I'm not passing the buck on any of this. I'm just saying there were things happening and I was not handling it well. And I started to freeze as a writer. I couldn't really write in any kind of a flow. It was like, as I used to refer to it, it was like digging coal with a nail file. It took so long, months and months and months and months and months, until it eventually, I blew the deal. It crashed. I mean, the publishers had been very understanding, everything, but ultimately, no, I hadn't delivered. And it was devastating. It was crushing. It hurt. It hurt on so many levels. And my sense of self as a person, as a writer, as a man, and all that kind of just beaten down. And at a certain point, and this, again, this over a period of months, almost a year, going through all this, at a certain point, I decided I had to finish at least this book. The deal was already shot. They were, again, kind in many ways, but, business is business. But I had to finish this for me. I needed to get through this. I needed to figure out why I wasn't able to produce, because this is what I'd done ever since I was a kid. I told stories, so why couldn't I? So I went at it, and I went at it for months and months and months. And I finished it. I finished that first book. And then I sort of screwed up some courage, and I took it to the publishers and I showed them. I said, look, I know, where things are with you guys and everything. And I appreciate your understanding all it. But I want you to see that I at least finished this book. And I'm just wondering if there was, any way we could maybe move forward from here. And again, to their credit, they were very understanding, everything. But, ultimately, it was a multiple book deal. It had really taken me forever to write this first book. And they weren't convinced that I was going to be able to deliver on the other books. And frankly, I wasn't 100% sure either. And so the deal flatlined. And the years went on, and I eventually had other writing assignments and started having more experiences doing the work and working through different kinds of stories and characters and all that. And I was pretty much figuring that, okay, I made it through that really bad, horrible time. I'm never going to have to deal with that again because I now know what to do and how to do it. Never say never, because I got hit with it just a few years ago. And once again, it's a project of my own pretty much creation, my own storyline. I was excited about the project. The project was within my wheelhouse of experience. I'd written things like this before. I'd done this kind of research. But once again, something was making it unbelievably difficult to write. And it took forever. And again, the deal flatlined. And once again, great publishers, great editor, great people, very understanding. Now, one could say among the other personal things going on in my life, there was also the pandemic. And that had an impact on many of us, if not all of us. But there were also people who did persevere through the pandemic and did continue to create and so forth through the pandemic. And so once again, I'm saying to myself, what's wrong with me? Why am I going through this again? And I came to the same conclusion at a certain point. Okay, the deal may be shot, but I got to finish this for myself. I have to work through this. And I did. And it took a bit of time, not as long as the first experience, but it took a bit of time. But I worked through it and I finished it for me, for me, because that's the only way I was going to learn up here and here that I can do it for me. I can accomplish it. I can figure out the problems and come up with a solution. I am at least that good a writer. And that's what we all need to experience, to come to that moment when, like Gandalf, we face some giant dragon. And instead of saying, you shall not pass, it's, I will not be stopped. I will get through this and I will persevere. So whenever you're facing this kind of a dragon, rather than change your course and try and find another path and maybe find another adventure somewhere else, figure out what's stopping you, how to deal with it, what kind of help you might need to deal with it, and work through it, because that's a skill all creatives need. The skill and the belief in self. Now go right for it.